sometimes they will go ahead and just literally tell you to go. And I appreciate those homes, because when you go there, you can actually see that those persons are well into the patient, the care of the patient. They look at every aspect of the patient. It's not all about, you know, just having the patient there being housed. They take care of the patient in every aspect of, you know, what they're offering in terms of their services. Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel where we discuss everything related to nursing, travel and lifestyle. So it's a Think Nursing channel, and I do want to say good morning to you if you're watching this in the morning. If you're watching it in the evening, then it's the same thing. Good evening to you as well. All right, so as usual, I am heading out. I decided to leave out a little bit early today because I have a few patients that I need to see. So it's after 7 in the morning and I'm driving all the way into Fort Worth. As I've said before, Fort Worth is a little bit of a tricky area because the traffic is always heavy. It's always hectic going down into Fort Worth, Texas. So I'm trying to leave ahead of time so that way I reach just about, you know, in time to see these patients. I'm not using the toll today, so it's gonna take me 1 hour. So my estimated time of arrival is gonna be around 8:30 a.m., which is not a bad time, you know, because then by the time I sit down, you know, go on the tablet, gets a few things prepared, it's gonna be like 8:45, time to see my first patient. So yeah, if you haven't seen my video as yet regarding my, you know, my hair, then you can always check out the video. It's a do it to yourself video where I show you how I pull down my faux locks hairstyle, and now I'm rocking my natural hair. And yeah, as you can see, this is what I'm doing for the remainder of the week in terms of wearing. So I was able to see 5 patients at a group home. They are patients that I have been following for the last 4 months. So basically it's just like, you know, just regular follow-up. So once you do a decent admission with those patients, you know, you do the history, you follow them through, you know exactly, you know, if there's any changes, because you basically keep repeating the same patients. So unless you have like new additions to those group homes or assisted living facilities, or, you know, those homes of those patients, then usually that's whenever it gets a little bit difficult for you as a nurse practitioner, because then you're gonna have to spend a little bit more time trying to get to know those patients. All right, so I am currently in Fort Worth, and I am gonna be going to another location, and all of these patients that I'll be seeing today, they are familiar with me. I have been following them for the last 4 months, so it is pretty good. All right, so I am always more of a detailed person, so the more information you document on your patient and you know, try to put in your notes itself, like each visit, the better it is the next visit, because you know, so for example, if there is a skin breakdown, you know, to look for, you know, if there is any worsening in that skin breakdown. So it's always good to just document as much as you possibly can. So not because the visit is going to take a little shorter time than usual, it doesn't mean that you're going to be, you know, not documenting appropriately. You want to ensure that you do a good health history on that patient, meaning their medical conditions, reconcile their medications and make sure that everything is up to date. Remove all the medications that they're not taking. You also want to go ahead and remove all the diagnoses that have been resolved, because it doesn't make sense you have like 100 medical diagnoses and then all of those are like, you know, so for example, the patient was having like a little bit of a arm pain that has been resolved, or if the patient had a concern for a callus on the foot, or the patient had a concern for eye pain, all of those have been resolved. So it's important that you, at the time of the visit, you remove those, so that way you can have a more concise history on your patient in terms of medication as well as medical history on that patient. And so, you know, after a while you get into these homes, the focus is going to be trying to get those reconciliations done, and then you try to get additional information, because as I say, if you do that thoroughly from the initial phase, then your workload gets lighter each visit. So as you start out as a nurse practitioner, it might seem hectic for you, but then as you go along seeing the patients and you're building a relationship, you know, interacting with them throughout the month, you know whether or not they have been admitted at the hospital, if they had any falls, if they've been having any symptoms or anything, you can always just zoom into that at the time of the visit you're having with them, and then document appropriately. All right, so I am currently at another location. It's a group home. I'm gonna be seeing 4 patients here, or no, I'm gonna see 2 patients, because one patient had moved to another group home, and another one, they dismissed that patient. And how group home owners dismiss patient is because, one, sometimes the patients are disruptive. Sometimes the patients are not wanting to be evaluated. You have some group homes that are very strict in terms of, you know, when you get there, it's more of a home. They're trying to ensure that the environment is not hostile. So for the ones that are operating a home and looking after the needs of the patient, ensuring that if they're diabetic, if they are, you know, if they have a psych problem, they're trying to address all of those by having providers come in and see them. Those patients sometimes, you know, depending on how those patients are, sometimes they will refuse the service. And if they constantly refuse the service, what those group home owners do is they give them the option. Some of these patients, remember, they are from the streets, they have nowhere to live, and so they literally are relying on these group home owners to keep them. So the group home owners will go ahead and give them the options to either be seen and treated, or you can go back to the streets. And a lot of times these persons, they tend to, you know, want the help, and so they stay, they get the treatment. But if it's a case where, say for example, you're becoming disruptive, you're becoming disrespectful, you are not wanting the service that is being offered to you to get you the help to recover, sometimes they will go ahead and just literally tell you to go. And I appreciate those homes, because when you go there, you can actually see that those persons are well into the patient, the care of the patient. They look at every aspect of the patient. It's not all about, you know, just having the patient there being housed. They take care of the patient in every aspect of, you know, what they're offering in terms of their services, their home services to those patients. And so for those group homes, I just want to say, you know, a good big up to them, or a thumbs up on them. But for the others, honestly, I just hope that they will work on that part, because some of these patients are relying heavily on them to just have a roof over their head, have a meal, at least one meal where they can eat and say, okay, then, you know, this is something warm they're looking forward to, or having a bed that they can actually sleep in. But so far, let's just say 80% of the group homes that I've been working with, they have been doing extremely well. 20%, they still need to kind of pull up them socks. And out of the 20%, about 5% have actually now been shut down, because it doesn't seem like they're keeping up with the standard, because literally patients are, you know, damaging their furnitures, they're damaging their buildings, and they're not repairing them. And so the place literally just look dilapidated. It looks like it's not well kept. So for all the group home owners that are out there, it's just a wonderful thing for them, you know, being able to have those patients get the care that they need in order to preserve their home environment and provide the service to other persons once these persons have, you know, reach a point where they can actually move out and get their own place in the future. So yeah, so I'm gonna be seeing those patients, and then from there I'll go to another group home that has about 5 persons as well. Some of those are younger folks, and you know, the younger folks are the ones that gives a little bit of a problem, because sometimes they want to sleep late and it's a bag of things that them go on with. So you just have to kind of work with them and kind of be like, okay then, mademoiselle, whenever the princess is over that side is finished sleeping, then let me know, I'll go and assess her. But all right, so I have just completed my second visit, and I am going to see my third group home. And this group home is a group home where I have a bit of a challenge sometimes, because even though sometimes you go there, it's a planned visit, sometimes the patients, it's because they're of a certain age group and they feel like they're supposed to sleep right around the clock. They feel as though you're not supposed to come there and disturb them at 10, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the mornings, afternoons. So this group home, I always tend to have just a little bit of a challenge with them. But sometimes I have to kind of understand that, you know, young people just give the problem. Them just give a lot of problem. So I just have to be like, okay then, start with the least problematic one and move my way up until I am able to get all the patients evaluated. Because if you follow them, you know, you don't get a chance to evaluate them, because they have so many things doing. Sometimes they just want to sleep, they go to their bed late, they take their medications late, they're just not in the mood. So yeah, so they're the difficult ones most of the times. And but after a while you go there, sometimes they just show up, and the face is saying, hey, if you talk to me too much, I'm just gonna give it to you. Yeah, like the facial expression only. They just come sit and they just ask, are you done? And then you have to be like, oh no, I've just gotten started. And all the questions you're asking, it's no, 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 no. And then before you know it, when you leave, then they'll be calling to say, oh, I need something for this, I need something for that. And I have to just smile, because I just know them by now. I just know those patients by now. They answer no to everything, but before you know it, they have so many issues that they wanted to be addressed, but they want it to be addressed on their terms. But mark you already make an appointment to see them. They already confirm an appointment to be evaluated. So I don't understand why they behave like that for every single visit. For every single visit. At one point I had to be like to my boss, I'm definitely not coming back down here, because I just didn't like the vibes. And that was like from the first time. But then I realized, oh, the folks them just want to sleep. Them don't want nobody disturb them. They don't want anybody talk to them. They just want to be there and be left alone. So when I was reassigned to the home again, because the group home owner, she likes when I come there and see her patients, because some of these group home owners, they have more than one location. So if you're in the same vicinity, sometimes they'll request that you see their patients in the other homes. And so it is a case where I was asked to come back and see the patients, and I'm like, well, you know that honestly I don't really want to come back and see them, because I have a hard time, you know, getting any information from them. And they were like, no, just go ahead and call me whenever. And you see, whenever you call the group home owners and be like, hey, well, this one is not, you know, not being cooperative, and she decided to call the phone. Like, everybody stands still and providing all of the detailed information that you want. But at the same time, I don't want it to be a case where every time I go there, I have to be calling the group home owner because these persons, they just want to be left alone, or you know, because after a while people start hate you. They will start hate you, and they'll think that you're, you know, you're just not respecting their time, you're just not respecting their privacy and all those stuff. So sometimes I just kind of let it flow, and I realize a trend. If they have any problems, they will call me. They will definitely call me when they need something filled. So as long as I go there, do my examination, look at their medications, you know, when it's time and they need something, they will definitely call, and when you start asking them questions, they will definitely answer at that time. So I don't really pay them much attention. I just let them stay there and keep their tantrums going because these are some adults doing some tantrums at that time for me. All right, so I'm heading over to the group home, and then once I'm finished with that group home, I'll go to another location to see only one person. And when you're seeing these patients, not all the time you are their primary care provider. Sometimes these folks, they haven't switched over their insurance, or they haven't switched over their providers. But because some of them are like homebound, you know, bedridden, it makes sense to just go ahead and switch over during that time. If it's a case where after, you know, you've come out of this little phase where you're now ambulatory and you're able to do things for yourself, you don't need a visiting nurse practitioner or provider to come and see you at home, then I always say to them, it's okay to go back and switch your providers. You know, it's okay to go ahead and switch them, because some persons, they've had providers working with them for years, but those providers are not doing home visits, and so patients tend to benefit a little bit more from the house call visits that is being offered through different companies. So they tend to just go ahead and switch over their providers so they can actually get that, you know, that access to all of the services that is offered through that. But I always just tell them it's okay to go back and switch whenever the time is right. So sometimes they say, okay, no problem, we'll do that. Other times, some persons are like adamant that they're not switching. So it's all dependent on the person. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and turn that notification bell on, okay? All right, I think I need something to eat right now because I kind of leave out a little bit early this morning, so I never get a chance to drink any porridge. Do you know what porridge is? Yes, if you don't know what porridge is, just type in Jamaican cornmeal porridge. Yes, it's cornmeal mixed with water, milk, sugar, salt, little cinnamon, nutmeg. Yeah, and you boil it until it's really nice. Some persons put condensed milk, some persons put condensed milk and Lasco. Oh Lord. But you can try it. You don't want it to be too thick because you're not making cornmeal pudding. You just want it to be perfect. It's gonna be of a thick consistency, watery, but you know, not too watery to the point where you're drinking it and it just like literally dripping from your spoon. It's supposed to have a little bit of a thickness to it, but I never had any of that this morning. And you know what happens as well? You see, when you're drinking cornmeal porridge, ow, when you're drinking cornmeal porridge and you have that white bread, I don't really like white bread, but years ago when I used to eat white bread, and you break up that white bread in the porridge, oh Lord, it is something that you enjoy. And I tell you, I miss it. I remember years ago, never really miss it that much or like it that much because my mother used to make a lot of cornmeal porridge. And then time of the year I look at it and I say, Lord, poor life. Poor life, this a little left, right and center. Every day a cornmeal porridge, every day a cornmeal porridge. You know, when you're a child going to school. And just never like it. But no, may I tell you, I can smell the cornmeal porridge on the stove. I can smell the coconut milk on the stove, and I can taste the nutmeg. Yeah, so I miss my mother cooking so badly. I miss the cornmeal porridge, I miss the rice and peas, I miss the chicken. Yeah, I miss everything. But you know, comes with being an adult. When you're an adult, you decide to pick up yourself and go out, and yeah, you just have to do what you have to do. Okay, so the people then brought down the place here, so, and there is nowhere for me to go. I'm at the destination that I am hoping that I will hoping to just park here for a few minutes. All right, so I'm gonna see these patients, and I will talk to you, or I'll see you in a few more minutes. Okay, and please remember to like, share and subscribe to the channel. I think I need to say that more often during my videos, or else I'm not gonna get no like, I'm not gonna get no subscription, I'm not going to get any comments. So here is where I say it again. Please remember to like, share and subscribe to the channel. You know, hit the like button, hit the thumbs up button. But I hope that, you know, you're enjoying the content that I'm providing, and I do hope that someone will find, you know, the content relevant to them as they go along. So I just had the funny waste the gas kind of moment where I was at a group home, but the group home is owned by one individual, and that same individual owns another group home that I was going to. And while I was leaving the initial group home that I had left earlier, I noticed that there was one of the young lady from the group home that I was gonna be going to, and she was probably like, say, a few feet away, but I'm like, oh, it's a 11 minutes drive. I'm thinking that, oh, I see a few of them walking, so I'm thinking, oh, they're just exercising. But only one person from the group home that I was heading to was actually a part of that group of persons walking. So it's like, oh, probably they're just exercising. Not to think that, you know, probably something else was going on. So I finished the visit, drove out, and head over to my group home that I was visiting, where I said that the young folks were just a little bit, you know, they don't want nobody to call them whenever you show up. They just want to sleep, they just want to eat, they don't want to talk. So I am there now over that group home. I drove 11 minutes over to that group home when I realized the outside had construction going on, and one gentleman was like, "Are you here to see me?" I'm like, "No, not really." "Who are you here to see?" So I didn't want to divulge, you know, any information regarding who I'm here to see. So I say, "Oh, I'm just not here to see you." And he's like, "Oh, I'm here and I'm over that side." But I know it's like, just think of it as a duplex group home. So you have males being housed on one side and females being housed on the other side. But I don't know whether or not he was a member of the section that houses the males. So I never really asked him anything. I didn't make mention of who I was going to see. And then I walked over and realized that, oh, it's a totally empty place. And so the gentleman in the car now says, "Okay, I'm gonna call the group home owner. I'm X, I kind of oversee." In my mind, I'm like, why you didn't say that from before? Because these folks, they're no longer at this location. They're at the location at, you know, and he made mention of where I was coming from. But rather than saying like say 30, he would say they're at 31 South. And I'm there laughing to myself and be like, oh my word, like I was at number 30 and number 31 was a group home that had the set of patients that I needed to see. So I could have finished this visit from like 20 minutes ago. You understand? In terms of showing up and then getting things started with them. Because now I had to drive 11 minutes back to this group home. The same spot that I was parked at. Basically, I'm parked in the same area, just on the opposite side of the road. So I was just there laughing, and I'm like, this happens. Sometimes things happen and you just have to smile about it and just move on. Because like, it was just funny because I saw the young lady and I'm like, oh, that's X. But then I wasn't even paying any attention that probably they moved location or something. Only to find out that I wasted my 10 minutes, drive over to that location, and then I had to waste another 10 minutes to drive, come back to the same location that I was at. And this is what happens sometimes in the group homes. You know, patients are moved from different homes because they're refurbishing, or there's just a lot of things going on in that home. And so sometimes this is what, you know, as a provider, this is what you have to deal with. You have to deal with driving to different places to, you know, meet the needs of these patients, to see these patients and get them evaluated and treated. So it comes with the job, you know. So I don't really mind it. If it was like probably like a 30 minutes drive I had done, then I would be upset. But yeah, it was just a funny moment. I just decided to share it with you. All right, so I'm gonna see them now, and then, you know, sun is getting a little bit warm. The temperature now is 93 degrees. So I think I have about 3 more patients to see, and then I'm gonna call it a day and head home. And I'll be seeing about 13 patients at that group home. So it's not gonna be a long drive like this. And even if the drive is a little bit longer than usual, it's probably like 20 minutes drive. The good thing about it is that it doesn't have that much traffic, so that's a plus. And I'm gonna be leaving out pretty early tomorrow as well, so I can start coverage at that group home. But yeah, so as I said, the sun get hot. It's getting really hot here in Texas. It's getting really hot here in Fort Worth. And I'm not complaining, because when I look outside and see some of these guys on the roof working, and I am sitting in the car here complaining about how hot it is. Like, these guys sitting on top of the roof, like, not sitting, but they're on the roof doing hours for the day. So I'm not going to complain anymore. I'm not going to complain anymore. All right, so I'm wondering if I should get something to eat first, but then I just want to get these visits out of the way at the same time. So which one do I do? Do I go find something to eat? Oh, there's a Wendy's. Indeed, I'm gonna be going to Wendy's and getting something to eat, and then I'm going to go and see those patients. All right, so even though every day we ask our patients to, you know, eat right, it doesn't mean that like a sandwich every now and again. Oh, the drive-thru look like it locked. Oh Lord, I guess because the Lord know that Chick-fil-A is somewhere down that side. Chick-fil-A they don't somewhere that side, so I must save my appetite, you know. Save my appetite for Chick-fil-A. So hopefully by the latest 1 o'clock, I'm hoping to be finished for the day and head back into my little, you know, town and chillax a little. All right, that's gonna be the end of my visits for today.